Hey, this is Kelly with Kelly's Magical Realm. Tonight I'm doing story time with a poem that I wrote called The Bride of Dracula. It's about Vlad and his second wife, Justine, standing in the tower, looking down at the outside castle walls, wearing a long green gown. Draculas Bride was wondering, what happens now? Vlad slowly approaches and says, "Don't be frightened, my dear. This war shall be won. We will rise and overcome." He just kept whispering to her, "Justine, Justine, my Justine." His voice alone could make her forget anything. So they went inside. Dracula held his newly bride. But once more she tried. Justine sat there with tears in her eyes. She wanted to run far away with Vlad and their kids. Vlad looked at her, his bride. He raised his hand up and said, "I shall never hide." But she felt the end was drawing near, that the wars wouldn't stop. She sat there in tears. Vlad came close and said, "My dear, close your eyes." He surprised her with a small jewelry box that was handcrafted for her, and there was some jewelry inside. "This is for my bride. You will always stand by my side." He grabbed a necklace of pearls and then placed them around her neck. He then held her tight. She was his weakness. In her eyes, he was beautiful and bright. At times, he wished he could change his thirst for blood and battle. He longed for power and control and revenge for the dreadful things that were done to him so long ago. As a child, Vlad was a prisoner. He would not stop until he captured the men who tortured him. He stopped for a moment and looked at Justine. In his eyes, she glowed and sparkled. She had a healing aura. And Vlad comforted her in his arms. There, my dear. I will protect you from all harm." Justine just wanted to save him. And when she realized that she couldn't, she would blame herself. That night, as Justine fell asleep, Vlad just stared at her, not wanting to say goodbye. But the day he had to set out for battle was drawing near. When the day had come for Vlad to set out for battle, Justine did not know that this was the last time she would see Dracula's face. He gave her a long, warm, final embrace, and then he set off for battle. And when Vlad was killed in war, there was an eerie silence that crept all over the land. Fog was all around. Creatures of the night were making dreadful sounds. Vlad's body slowly disappeared into the ground. Wolves howled into the distance, mourning the loss. The water all around the castle turned blood red. Screams were heard until late into the night. When Justine heard the news, she kept screaming for Dracula to come back to her. Vlad's spirit started to rise. Then off to the castle he flew to see his mourning bride. When Dracula found Justine, she had passed out on her bedroom floor, for she couldn't take the pain anymore. All her dreams had been shattered. To her, Vlad was all that mattered. While she was unconscious, Vlad arrived at her door. He vowed that she would never feel pain anymore. The ghost of him held her in his arms. He said, Justine, Justine, listen to me. You will be sad no more. Hear me. Your prince is still here. He held her tight, and whenever Justine would feel fear, Dracula would always be near to come by her side and comfort her. Some days she would swear that she could still feel him by her side, and from the other side, Dracula stayed to be her guide.